Eagles! Tell you what, man. What a great time of the year. NHL starting. NBA, I hate to do this right out of the gate to my guy Tone. So watch this when I say this, the Sixer season starts. Why do I get an automatic anxiety attack? The Sixer season starts tonight. Why did I just get an anxiety attack? You know, am I happy? Is it an anxiety attack? Is it going to be drama-filled? I mean, right? I mean, if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, you're doing this. Hey, man, I can't wait to see how this whole thing. I mean, but I just got an anxiety attack when I said Sixers. I mean, crazy right out of the gate. I don't mean to do that to you. By the way, I didn't realize that the Phillies had never been in a Game 7 in their entire franchise's history. That's incredible, man. I don't care anything about the Sixers until they get to the second round, plain and simple. Don't keeps it fair across the board. He's an equal offender. You don't win a championship, dude. I don't care how many silver or bronze medals or participation ribbons you win. Means nothing. 23-2. Good night. See you later. I'll see you tomorrow. Absolutely. Look at Ho over here. What's the excuse? For the Niners. Okay. That's where I was going. Thank you, Ho. Look at these idiotic fans right out of the gate. How do you think the Eagles would be without Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown? The narrative changes every week in the NFL. That's why when you guys say flip-flopping, no. Last night, 3 things happened. Debo wasn't there. Trent Williams wasn't there. Cousins played out of his ass. How would the Eagles be without A.J. Brown and Lane Johnson in a game? Just answer that one. Just answer that one. Would you would, oh, wait a minute. Look at how pathetically ignorant some of the Eagle fans are in here, because you know what they've been doing? They've been crowing that they got beat last night because they missed personnel. I don't have any different opinion of San Francisco than I did going into the game, except for one thing. Purdy's got to be able to stay out of the bad play. It's becoming a little bit repetitious in it. But outside of that, this is the war of attrition. I told you this. This is the war of attrition. Eagle fans use that excuse for the Jets loss. Oh, I see. But no other team on the planet can do it except the almighty Eagle fan. Guys are pathetic. What are you, 13-22 without Lane in the starting lineup or some crazy number? Whatever it is, it's some psychotic number. Then you take AJ off the team. You guys make it sound like you're better than San Francisco by a lot. You're not. You are not. Every week is a different storyline for the NFL. That's why when some people in here go, Sills, he flip-flops in it. No. 1 week, one guy's injured. 1 week, another guy's not injured. This week, a team gets hurt. This guy has an inactive. The league itself is not consistent. I take that as a compliment, Senor. Thank you. Thank you very much for the compliment. I appreciate that, Senor. Thank you very much for the compliment. Oh, and by the way, Kirk Cousins played out of his gourd. It's probably the greatest game he's ever played as an NFL quarterback. I've never seen him play that well. Ever. You're not better than the Niners. You know how I know this? Las Vegas doesn't think it. Here. This isn't me. These are the people that actually put money down and set the lines. Where is that? Here. This isn't me. This isn't mine. I didn't make this list up. Las Vegas did this morning. We're better. Well, the Vegas guys don't think so. Those are the people that are actually the true analysts. You know why? They put their own wallets up. Here, according to Las Vegas, here's the odds to win the Super Bowl this year as of this morning. Kansas City, 17-4. The 49ers, 9-2. The Eagles, 13-2. The Cowboys and the Dolphins, 10-1. The Ravens, 12-1. The Bills, 12-1. Lions, 18-1. The Bengals, 20-1. And the Jags, 25-1. Vegas don't think you're better. But you think you're better. How funny. They miss a couple players, and all of a sudden you think your narrative has changed because of your stupidity in thinking of your record. That's what I say too, JM. 6-1. So what? It's how well you play that Sunday and who's healthy. And it will always be that way. You're right. I don't give a shit about the 6-1 either. I don't. I could care less about that record. You need it for home field. That's right. Home field, that's important. Great, 6-1. I don't care. Just like you don't care if Trent Williams or Deebo Samuel's not playing. I don't care either. Here, let's be fair here. Yeah! Oh, by the way, do I have an absolute incredible topic that is going to make everybody's hair on the back of their neck stand up? You know, today, usually, too, what I like to do is my top 10 NFL teams and my top 10 quarterbacks. We will do that. We got a ton of stuff. By the way, also, take a look back at that Washington Commanders game. Doc Walker will join us as well at 5:30. Longtime Washington Commander, part of the broadcast team. He will join us at 5:30. He is always a great listen and watch. We so appreciate my dear friend jumping aboard. We got to start out also. Tone the segment will be at 3:30, but today we qualify all of our great friends for our Hooters giveaway. And all you have to do is be like Christopher and Ken, our winners from this week that was named on a Football Monday. All you do is email us your information, and you get an opportunity to win yourself some gift certificates with our great friends at Hooters. DanSileo@gmail.com. We so appreciate it. Thank you so much. Tone's going to throw a code word out for the next 4 hours. Identify it, email it to us, and maybe you'll hear your name called on a Football Monday. Ryan says, are you going to beat the brakes off the Niners again? Are going to beat the brakes off the Niners again? You didn't beat the brakes off the Niners. At 260 yards against them. Lowest output all year last year. Hey, you're not better than them. You're as good as them. Okay? It's Dallas and San Francisco. Do you know what the battle between those two teams is now? Staying healthy and who has the best record and will host the NFC title game. That's the only thing on the table. Guys, people are going to beat anybody. Jets beat you. Worst offense in pro football. The worst offense in pro football. Do I hold that against you? No. You lost to a team that might win 5 games this year. And I don't hold that against you. Okay? War of attrition, which means who's healthy. That's what the 49ers and the Eagles are fighting for. Nothing else. Nothing else. Those are the two teams that are going to do battle. Those are the two teams that are going to fight it in the NFC. I don't think Jalen Hurts is playing better than Brock Purdy. I think they're playing the same now. Jalen's got 10 turnovers. He's not playing better than him. And Purdy now is not playing better than him. So that race is kind of even now. Who do you have more confidence in? Got to be fair, say Jalen. Sure. Okay. Niners got exposed because two guys were hurt. Once again, answer the question. How would the Eagles be without Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown? You won't answer it because you don't want to face it. Say it with me. How would the Eagles be without Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown in the offense? Say it with me. That's what the Niners went with last night. Their version of Lane Johnson and no A.J. Brown. It's not excuses. It's facts. That's not an excuse. I'm asking you a question. How would the Eagles be without Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown? Answer the question. You can't. You know why? You don't want to face the truth. It's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. I don't give the 49ers an excuse because you took out Hassan Reddick took out Purdy. That was a football play. You've never heard me give the Niners an excuse that their quarterback didn't play through that. I never have given that as an excuse because a football play was made. I'm asking you a question. How would your Eagles be without Lane Johnson and Deebo Samuel? No, it's not hypothetical. Because last night they were without their version and Trent played against the Browns. What are we doing? I don't know what you're talking about. The Eagles wouldn't be the same, period. The rule applies to every team in the NFL. If they are missing their top 2 or 3 players, the Eagles are not exempt. Tone, see, you're an intelligent sportsman. Some of these people in here are not. And this is why you have people who would rather be lied to. And see, look at this guy here, rock steady. We'd be fine. He actually believes if no Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown are on the field, the Eagles would be the same offense. Oh, I can't wait to get to this next topic. I think you better hope and pray that you guys have tissues next to you what I'm going to say about Jalen Hurts here. Will Hurts' health hold back the Eagles from winning the Super Bowl in 2023/24? Yes or no? Will that be the one determining factor? And them winning the Super Bowl right now. He's limping around pretty good. Probably playing a knee brace Sunday. No. So Jalen Hurts' health. His health. Boy, I'll tell you, more of the stories are coming out. Pretty significant. I was reading Crossing Broad. They said he's gutting out a significant knee injury. Go to their front page. He's gutting out a serious knee injury. I didn't say that. I'm quoting that. Will Hurts' health hold the team back from winning the Super Bowl? He's limping. 11 says he ain't hurt. So they're making it up. Would you think of sitting him for a couple games? Get him healthy? I think it's you in San Francisco, like I said. Would you think of sitting him? Toad says, hell no, get his ass out there. Okay? Especially with the gauntlet of teams coming up. I think his health's going to hold him back. I do. Tone's like everyone's limping. Part of the game for a dual threat guy. It'll cost him a Super Bowl. He's injured. Not to the point where he can't play. It's not going to get better. You think he start healing every week? And now that the Commanders know this, then these teams, Dallas, hey, I knew some of you would add that narrative. So I probably have to say it. You come in with hate today after eating crow I didn't eat any crow yesterday about the Dolphins. Sometimes you get the egg, sometimes you get the shell. I never ate crow yesterday one time. We said flat, hey, so I didn't get it right? Great, I didn't eat crow. You haven't won anything yet. Eating crow is when you win a Super Bowl, not when you're right on a take for one day. That's not eating crow. You ain't won shit. You talk like you have a Super Bowl ring in your pocket from a year ago. You don't. Jalen Hurts and his health. Get this. And once again, like Tone said, all rules apply. That guy up in Baltimore, let me get this. You think his health decides whether or not his health will decide whether or not they win a Super Bowl? Do I think that Lamar Jackson is going to be healthy the entire year? No. Dual threat! No, I don't. No, I don't think those two quarterbacks will ever win one. Because, watch this, they're going to be like the modern day Michael Vick. Electric, great, never really healthy. Again, I have to at least stay to my guns on what I make of dual threat. And when we talk about Jalen winning ball games, it's great. Do you know that Lamar Jackson actually wins more and has a higher win percentage than Jalen Hurts? I mean, he wins a ton of games. Now, Jalen has significantly done more one year in the playoffs than what Lamar has done since he's been in the league. Lamar's only a year older than him. So I like how the media is not making a bigger deal of Jalen's health and just ignoring it. When you have a you're not ignoring it in Cincinnati. There's a reason that team's 3-3. They got a big game this weekend. Who do they play? I think Cincinnati. Doesn't Cincinnati play the Niners? That's a big ball game. Since you are a bigger lifter, does Jalen's lift give him less risk? Yes. And he's smarter than Lamar, football-wise. Plus, the Eagles are telling him to get down. Jalen Hurts is not the same runner that he was his first 2 years in Philadelphia. And quite frankly, look what they're doing in Baltimore. Do you know that Lamar Jackson, I think if I'm not mistaken, Tone, I could be wrong on this. I think he's got 69 yards rushing going into week 8. Lamar Jackson has 69 yards rushing. Lamar Jackson. has only 69 yards rushing so far this year as starting quarterback in Baltimore. There's clearly a directional change in that guy's career. And they've done the same thing in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. That's why you're seeing high turnovers. And again, outside of the turnovers, I don't think he's playing awful. I just don't. But he's going through a change. Okay, I thought I saw. Is it 69 carries? Tone, is it 69 carries? He's got 363. Okay, that's great. Okay, I stand corrected. 69 carries it is. 69 carries. 69 carries. Okay? But there's a change. Look at his completion percentage. Okay? Look at his completion percentage. All right. Are you concerned about Jalen Hurts' health? Yes or no? No? No one? You concerned at all about it? Yes or no? That it will be a significant deal? No. All right. We'll remember this day. We'll remember this day. It's not real news yet. Well, it's the first time when the quarterback has been talking or people have started bringing it up. By the way, Sills, does Brock Purdy still look like Montana? No, because he can't carry the team. But the Niners are still just as good as you. Nothing changes. He's got to stay out of the tough interception. Hey, and by the way, he's having probably a little better year than your guy because he doesn't have as many turnovers. They were missing Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams. I'm sorry. That changes each week. War of attrition. You guys really look at 1 week and take a narrative and completely change what you think of a team and not the entire package of the 7 games that they've played? How idiotic. You're prisoners of the moment. Now, when you start to see trends, when teams when teams start to see injuries piling up week after week, that becomes a trend. You guys are prisoner of the moment. Total prisoners of the moment. I mean, yeah, I'm concerned about it. We'd be lying if we weren't, but all we can do is let it play out. A lot of quarterbacks are dealing with the same sort of injury. Yeah, but Tone, again, a lot of players don't rely on both of your physical assets. I'd say 80% of the quarterbacks in this league don't rely on part of their offense being their wheels. That's what you get with that. Guy can have an injury. Joe Burrow can have an injury, a lower extremity injury, and not have to worry about it being completely healthy because this guy's more of a pocket passer. He wins games from the pocket. He doesn't win games from the pocket and from the perimeter. There's a difference. Okay? So for me, again, this goes back to my initial comment when you guys were talking about style of play. Hey, I'm not deviating off it. I'm not building my team around that. I don't care how smart he is, how good he is. Would you build your football team around Michael Vick? Would you build your football team around Michael Vick? Would you? If he was a brand new, shiny quarterback coming out of Virginia Tech, would you build your – it's kind of unfair because you know the narrative now. Wasn't he the number 1 overall pick? What did he ever win? And how many years was he healthy totally? Outside of the unfortunate situation he had? 2? You wouldn't build your team around him because you're not going to win anything. You build your team around a guy you're not going to win. Ask people who want to have Lombardi trophies instead of just having ESPN moments for highlight reels. Why would you want a quarterback like that? And he's not healthy. And there's a low ceiling. I'd hate to see what he'd say if we lost to the Dolphins. I would say nothing. Your game is 2 months from now. You guys are out of your mind. If you lost to Washington, do you think I would change my narrative on the Eagles? Why would you? Dude, this is about Philly getting to the finish line healthy and hopefully having more wins in San Francisco. That's all this is. What are you talking about? Holy cow. Who gives a shit about the Commanders except for one fact? It's a divisional game and it's an NFC game. Other than that, if you had lost to the Dolphins, I wouldn't have given a shit about it. Unless there were massive turnovers again and I won't change. How about this? If you lose to Kansas City, do you really think I'm changing my narrative that the Eagles aren't one of the best teams in the NFC? Why would you? Because you're arrogant. Don't tell me, hey, Prince, you don't know me from a can of paint and don't pretend to. Hey, dude, if you think I would lie to people I've never met, you got the wrong dude. You've got the wrong guy. You lie to women. You don't lie to people who are sports fans. I don't give a shit. I don't lie. I'm not very good at it. You really think if you lose to the Commanders, that's going to change the narrative that the Eagles and the 49ers are still not the two best teams in the NFC? You got to be dumb as hell, man. You got to be dumb as hell. So let me get this right. You play 7 games all the way up until that. Those games don't matter anymore. It's just the week games, and that's how you guys look at pro football. Tone, is that how you look at pro football? You don't look at the overall body of work so far. You just look at one game, and if you happen to trip up in the game, you think that's an indictment on your season? The only indictment on a season is when you don't make it to the playoffs or you don't win the Super Bowl. Other than that, everyone goes home, 31 teams. Whether you're a 12-win team or a 2-win team, y'all lost. End of the day, go home. Wait till next year. Hey, my team was a little better. Congratulations for celebrating mediocrity. 49ers are not all hype. They're not. You guys can't take the fact that if Lane Johnson and A.J. Brown were not on your team, you think your team would be the same. Part of the NFL, man. It's not an excuse. It's the reality of the week. Don't you understand? Every week is different. Oh, as you call flip-flop. Every week flip-flops who the best. Wait, doesn't it every week flip-flop who the best team is? Or no? According to you and me, it doesn't. I still look at certain teams that I think have the talent to win a Super Bowl. Or some teams, the only narrative that I have right now on certain teams, some are just not consistent than the others. Some are. Some find ways to win. There's intangibles in certain teams. Like, here's my narrative on the Eagles. Getting better on defense. Quarterback struggling, going from being just a run guy to a pass guy, but he's still improving in his accuracy. The receivers have an iconic year. The 2 tackles in the middle have picked their game up. Sweat's becoming a superstar. Swift is becoming a factor. They're implementing more of Goddard. This is going to play itself out the entire time. And this is going to be a weekly thing. Some games you'll win, some games you'll lose. But are you getting better to January? That's how I look at it. Do you look at it any other way? Which team wins with backup QB, San Francisco, KC, or Philly? Philly. Philly's got the more complete team. Kansas City loses their quarterback, Mark. They're finished. San Francisco proved they can't win without one. Philadelphia could win the Super Bowl without him. Again, the better chance to win it. I'm not saying Mariota could lead them to the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that if you pick those three teams, Eagles been the best team in the NFC since week 1. Not true. I disagree. Eagles have been the most consistent team. Actually, not true also, but they've been the team that has found a way to win. Okay? Has found a way to win. That's what I would say. Who's the most consistent in the NFC then? They're not the Eagles. Well, you really think you've played consistent football all year? How about this? You know what? To put that in I'll tell you what, Moose. To put that into perspective on what you're saying, maybe you're right, Moose. Sills, in your eyes, have the Eagles been playing consistent football? No. But compared to the rest of the league, yes. Yes. The record proves this. They've been playing the most consistent compared to the other NFL teams, but not been consistent in their own level of play. That's probably the answer. Okay? That's probably the answer. Okay? But again, we'll see who's healthy by the end of the year between the Niners and the Eagles. Hey, I don't care what you think. You see the game really weird compared to me and other people that I know. Nobody sees the game like what some of you see it as, a week-to-week affair. That if one team loses, they're been exposed. Anyone who said that is an idiot. Okay, there's some trends now that are happening with Purdy. Got to stay away from that turnover, kid. Okay, and when you don't have pieces on the field, I'd like to see Hurts without A.J. Brown on the field and without Lane. See how he'd play. Again, this is part of what makes the NFL. Hey, you get this. You won the Super Bowl with what I'm saying. You did. You had the better roster. Eagle fans got to understand every contender in the NFL has and is going through some sort of growing pains. None of the contenders have played flawless football. The Eagles are not exempt. It's about who can put their team in the best position to win. And in the end, while battling injuries. No one is perfect contender, not even the Eagles. See, Tone's looking at it as a body of work and looking what that team does that respected week with all the work that they've done to get to that week. And that's exactly how you look at it. You guys look at it as you lose to the Vikings, you suck, and you're overrated. That's a dumbass way of looking at it. You just excuse everything that they've done. And by the way, you excuse the fact that they kicked the living shit out of a team that you struggle against. The Cowboys. You struggle against Dallas. Your quarterback is banged up. This is going to be a continuing theme as you go down towards that Dallas game. Here, issues for the Niners. Quarterbacks got to stay away from dumb plays. 49ers have to be healthy. Kyle Shanahan has got to not lose his shit sometimes in the fourth quarter when he needs to not panic and stick with the run. Cowboys just got to stop worrying about everything else outside, and they have to go to work. One thing Dallas, sometimes it just seems that they shy away from, putting the work in to be a champion. They'd rather put the media work in. I'll explain that here in a minute. And the Eagles are the only team that put the work in, have a sense of urgency, understand that they want to play better. I said it to you on Monday. The Philadelphia Eagles are probably playing at 80% of what their capabilities are. I think that's a good thing. There's 20% room for more improvement as you get towards January and potentially February. Wouldn't you rather be that at 6-1 than talk about whether or not you think the 49ers are overrated? 49ers are going to be in the NFC title game. That team's going to the NFC title game. I don't give a shit what you think about it. And they're going to play you or you're going to play them. You make it sound like they got this massive lead or you have this massive lead over them. You play a tougher schedule too. We'll see, man. Dallas is only a game back now. One slip up. You've already slipped up once this year. So wait a minute. Let me get this right. So the Eagles have slipped up once. You don't think you slip up again, right? Because what? You're too much of leaders and too much character. And that's great and all, man. It's the NFL, dude. You're not going to slip up. Okay. Right. Here, let me get to one thing I have to say about the Cowboys, though. And I do want to say this, and this is again why the Eagles are not just in first place in the NFC by a game or a game and a half, whatever it is. You guys are 10 years ahead of the Cowboys. So what does Jerry Jones do today on his radio show? He comes out and he puts a blanket statement out that we're really happy kind of with. Do you know he had to basically respond to Howie Roseman and what Roseman did by getting Kevin Byard from the Titans and bringing him over? He felt that he had to respond that we're happy with our roster, who we have now, and it would have to kind of, in paraphrasing, blow us away. You see how he beat him again. You know how he beat him? The Eagles don't talk. The general manager of the Cowboys throws these prophetic statements out about them potentially doing something or looking at something, but they never do. This guy just does it. This guy puts a ski mask on, goes in, gets his guy, and gets out. There's no bullshit about it. He goes in, gets what he needs, gets out. He's not greedy. He doesn't feel he has to tell the media the storyline of the Philadelphia Eagles in their pursuit of a position to go out there and make some sort of grandiose comments on 2 radio shows that Jerry Jones does every week. That's exactly the problem that he has. Do you know that Jimmy Johnson, and I get it, salary cap, all that stuff was not implemented. Free agency really wasn't a big, gigantic thing when Jimmy was there. However, his number one objective was to always try to turn over the bottom 1% of his roster every day he could. He tried to improve the bottom 1% of his roster. You know why? He didn't have to worry about the top 1%. You think Howie worries about Hassan Reddick and Lane Johnson and those guys, or he's even addressing anything with those guys except for maybe restructuring contracts so that he can make a move at the bottom end of the roster? He doesn't worry about those guys. He pays those guys. Then he's always trying to improve the bottom or the middle of the roster. That's what gives you a balanced salary cap and a balanced roster. This guy is beating and I mean Roseman, is beating Jerry Jones so bad, he might as well take a baseball bat and slam it over his franchise's head. Because that's how bad he's killing the Cowboys. He's taking a sledgehammer and bashing that franchise in every year. Every year he's bashing their brains in. Yes, Eagles got better. And the Cowboys are in this delusion of the island of misfit toys. Your wide receiving core is not as good as you think it is. You don't have a number 2, and you have an overhyped number 1. Seriously, dude, if CeeDee Lamb is better than Devontae, it might be by a tick, but would I take him or him? I'd rather have the better teammate and route runner. It's preposterous. I mean, look, man, next Tuesday at 4 p.m. is the NFL trading deadline. Roseman's probably got another move there. But watching hey, does this football team need another offensive player? Maybe a running back and maybe a corner. I'll tell you one thing that the linebackers have done. They probably have quieted the conversation at the linebacker position. Because once you get play like this, you might want to do this now. You know, I'll tell you what. Can I live with it? Can I live with it? Do I need more depth at corner? Because then I could drop one of these guys into the slot. Got to be looking at it that way. You know, I've been pimping Leonard Fournette down on the goal line. Now again, he's a guy you got to worry about the Dunkin' Donuts. Okay? Jesus criminy, man. As much as I like the Jones family, and I do, you know I do. Steven's been on here numerous times. But man, when you come out publicly and say, I'm pretty happy with my roster, and you got steamrolled. Again, one thing I'll say, and I've been telling you this, you're never going to kill the Niners, or you're never going to kill the Eagles. You're just never going to kill those teams. Like, you're not going to beat the doorknobs off those teams. But you're going to beat the shit out of the Lions and the Cowboys. Why? Because they're finesse. You don't beat up tough teams and pound them and destroy them. You just don't. You beat the shit out of finesse teams. The Lions got crushed last week. The 49ers destroyed the Cowboys. Even the Cardinals destroyed the Cowboys. Isn't it funny how the narrative has now all of a sudden forgotten the Arizona game? Okay? Once again, you missed the point, SB. I said the 49ers and the Eagles will never get killed. Did you hear the words and the phrasing? They will never get killed in ball games. They may lose games, but they're not going to get killed in them. Because there are power teams. They're power teams. Okay? Hey, Barb, once again, you're under the impression that I get aggravated. I don't. I just talk loud because I'm Italian. I get upset when my cannoli doesn't taste well. You know what I'm saying, Barb? If my cannoli doesn't taste good, then I get upset. Sills, what'd you think about Purdy? Not a good performance. Got to play better. What are they, 5-2? They're fine. Let me get to my top 10 NFL teams. Then at the top of the hour, we're going to do our top 10 NFL quarterbacks. Should I do the MVP odds? Not my pick. 49ers are not a power team. Guy just put $2 down to tell us that the 49ers are not a power team. So he just paid $2 to lie. They're not a power team. And yet they didn't have the best offensive tackle in the NFL in last night and one of the top 5 wideouts. But you think you're okay if you lose A.J. Brown and Lane Johnson. I don't know how pathetic you can be. Jalen Hurts would be on his back the entire night. So you think going to Jack Driscoll is the same as Lane Johnson, and you would have the same team with Jack Driscoll at right tackle. See, Roland's laughing. Let me show you what Roland's doing here to you guys. He thinks Jack Driscoll's an equivalent replacement for Lane. Big Trade thinks that Jack Driscoll would be a fine replacement. We'd be okay if Lane wasn't playing. Yes, he does, Barb. He just said it. We have great. No. So the backup is the equivalent of Lane Johnson. You'd be okay. And then you take AJ out. Devin, I think you're right. The Niners are a power team with some finesse and pizzazz. They aren't a bad team. They just had 2 bad. That's right. And get this, cue ball. This is going to come down to that December game. It's going to be a great football game. Could determine home field advantage by that time. Could determine home field, depending on what the health of Jalen Hurts is by then. We shall see. There's a lot to really look at each and every single week now with all the teams. And as Tone said, everyone's hurt. So with everyone hurt, the teams that you look at right now may completely be different in January. Kansas City loses Mahomes, it's over. But again, according to some of you in here, that's okay, next man up. Really? Eagles are going 8-1 into that game. Okay. Here are my top 10 NFL teams. At number 10, we do this on a weekly basis. I think the Seahawks have done a nice job this year. Little bumpy start early. I think they're getting better and better and better every week. You know what Geno has done? I don't think Geno looks as surprisingly good as he did a year ago. But you know what they are? They're getting enough out of him. And Geno Smith is playing for the second straight year some pretty good ball, man. You know, I really do dig what they're doing in Seattle. In this new passing NFL, with the way edge rushers have developed and right and left tackles have equalized the value, these days edge rushers aren't just attacking left tackles. You have to be the top edge guys, right tackles. Yeah, and agreed, Tone, but still the salaries are all dictating on the left tackle's position. Trent Williams makes more than Lane for a reason. And the majority of the left tackles still to this day, because why is that? And to Tone's point, it's true, they do line up those edge rushers, but as much as that's a factor, you still got to protect the blind side of the quarterback with the best player. As good as your edge rushers are, and as sometimes they line them up over right tackles, the most important player in your offensive line, the second most important is your center, the left tackle. He protects the blind side. That's why the majority of the quarterbacks in the National Football League are right-handed, and you don't see a lot of left-handed quarterbacks in the league. They're not going to draft a lot of left-handed quarterbacks because there's not a lot of right tackles like Lane Johnson in the league. Okay, I mean, that's the facts. You protect the blind side. And I get that these edge rushers, they move around. Well, you still have to protect the blind side quarterbacks. And you know what? It'll never catch up because you have to protect the blind side. It's a fundamental thing that you teach quarterbacks. Front door, side door, back door on escapes. And if you have a tackle and if you have a left-handed quarterback, it's reversed. That's a fundamental way you teach your quarterbacks on how to escape pressure. You protect the blind side. That's why the right tackles make the money over there, because they'll always make the most money over there. I mean, the quarterback doesn't have the ability to do that. He has everything in front of him but the right edge rusher. And that's, at least if a guy's coming at me and Mike is coming at me, I can get down. If he's coming at me from my blind side, I don't know if he's coming up on me or I'm going to get rolled up on. Okay. Top 10 NFL teams. I just told you the Seahawks. I got them at 10. At number 9, I really am liking this team more and more. I like the Cleveland Browns. I think the Browns, if they can get Deshaun Watson out there on the field, boy, I'll tell you what, man, they got some really good football talented people over there on that side of the ball. And I think Kevin Stefanski's a pretty good coach. I'm actually liking him. He's a head coach, play calling head coach. And he leads. See, there's a dynamic like you have in Los Angeles that you don't have in Philadelphia. The head coach in Cleveland is the play caller and the head coach. Jim Schwartz runs the entire defense. And I like that dynamic because what you basically have is 2 head coaches. Go ahead. Go ahead. Do what you need to do. Whatever you think is fit. We'll stay within the parameters. Let me know what's going on, how you're going to attack, what we're going to do. I want to be on the same page with you. If I'm a head coach like Sean McVay out in Los Angeles, I like that dynamic. Look at the 2 coordinators McVay has had since he's been the head coach in Los Angeles. Wade Phillips and Raheem Morris. Those guys run the entire unit. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. I think they're a good football team too. Number 8, I got the Lions here. Overall body of work. What are they, 5-2? Has been good. You got killed last week. How do you respond? You know, I'm going to be interested to see how the Lions and the Dolphins respond. I am. I think that the Lions are better prepared to respond to what happened to them last week than I say the Dolphins. The Dolphins are in uncharted territory because Philadelphia beat the starch out of them. I mean, they absolutely beat the starch out of them. How are you going to hey, when you get punched in the mouth and you get knocked out, they weren't beat. They were knocked out. Are you going to get up off the turf? It's one thing to stand there and you get beat. You get beat on points. You know, the referee gave it to the guy. He deserved it. That's one thing. Okay, but when you get knocked out in a fight, how do you respond when you have to get off the canvas? That's what I always thought made Ali great. Every guy that beat him, he went back and beat in his prime. That's what made that guy insane. Every dude that beat him, he went back and beat. One of the truly uncovered parts of Muhammad Ali. Every dude that beat him, he went back and got him in the next one. No matter if it was Spinks or Frazier. Went back and beat them all. How are the Lions going to respond? Got the Dolphins at 7. I got the Dolphins at 7. They've done too much good work, but here's Here's my question mark on the Dolphins. Are you tough enough to win a title? Can you man up in moments? You surely got a lot of nice shiny toys. But at the end of the day, are those toys worthy of winning a title? I mean, can I tell you what the Dolphins look like right now to me? They look like Dan Marino's Dolphins with Clayton and Duper. Sure put up a lot of yards. There's a lot of points. You get into an AFC title game against the Steelers or against the Raiders back in the day, you got beat. David, I like that. Soft and fast? Shit, I would never want to be those. I'm fast and I'm soft. What's the point of being fast? I can run around the ring? Yeah. At 6, I got the Cowboys. Do I trust the Cowboys? No. No. But they've got just as many they've got just as many losses as some of the other teams in the National Football League, and they're one loss behind you right now. So they're in it. You can't head-to-head could be a factor for the NFC East this year. Could be a factor. If you trip up one more time and you split with Dallas and you end up with the same record at the end of the year, you're going to have a conversation on who wins the East. And you could be a wild card even with a 12 or 13 win record. Hey, whatever you think of the do I think the Cowboys are in the league of the Eagles? I do not. I do not. But he beats you. Do I think the Cowboys are as good as a year ago when Dak put up 5 TDs on your so-called second-best defense in the league? No. I don't think I get this. I think the Eagles are actually not as good as their defense a year ago. But they're getting better, and I don't think the Cowboy offense is as good as it was a year ago. So take that for what you will. The Eagles made more gains on their defense than the Cowboys did in their offense, and they're going the other way. They're going that way. Coordinator's better this year in Philly. The run defense is better in Philly. I think the Cowboys are not as good as they were a year ago. Okay? I don't. We'll see. Dude, if you're going to sit around running around after beating the Chargers and you think that's like an NFC title game, wow, you really don't know what expectations are on winning a championship because the Chargers are not championship quality. That's not a championship quality team. And you're circling around Arlington and you think that you're on some sort of victory parade in Arlington or downtown Dallas, beating the Chargers in a sloppy game, you got a long way to go, dude. Long way to go. Scott says Chargers stink. Just not a championship team, man. Just not a championship team. You got a lot of talent. Keenan Allen's on that team. Mike Williams is on that team. Austin Eckler. That Slater kid, the left tackle's outstanding. Herbert. I mean, you got a shitload of talent. Then you got Joey Bosa and you got Derwin James. You got all them guys over there. Khalil Mack. And you can't win and you're 2-4? Man, I don't know how that guy keeps his job. They should be 1-5 if you think about it. I mean, they should have lost in Minnesota. So now we're getting into the top 5. My top 5 NFL teams. Number 10, the Seahawks. Number 9, the Browns. Number 8, the Detroit Lions. Number 7, the Dolphins. Number 6, the Cowboys. And here we go at number 5. fifth best team in the National Football League are the San Francisco 49ers. Got to stay away from turnovers. You're doing something that the Eagles do on a daily basis, or I should say, you're not doing something that the Eagles do on a weekly basis. You know what that is? I may not be playing my best ball, but you got to win sloppy games. You got to win sloppy games. Okay? Jets, I get. There was injuries in that game. Not an excuse, but it is. You can't just go like this. Well, and by the way, this is kind of a rip at me. You can't just go like this. Well, Trent Williams is out and Debo's out. And again, it's part of it. It's a factor. But you got to win, man. You got to win ball games. And the Eagles win ugly when they have to win ugly. It's a testament to their team, to their players, to the organization. Outside, that's the best game I've ever seen Kirk Cousins play. I've never seen Kirk Cousins play that well. Never have seen him play that well. Number 4, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars at 5-2. They're getting better. Not a surprise. Doug Peterson's getting that football team each and every single week better and better and better and better. Calvin Ridley, NTN, Trevor Lawrence. The offensive line looks better. The defense is coming around, especially at the edge. They're setting it better. Okay? Christopher says that Kirk Cousins was seeing, what was it? What did you say? He was like, is deer in the headlights? 34, 44, 378, and 2 touchdowns? That's deer in headlights? Well, can I get hit by a car then? 34, 44, 378, and 2 touchdowns is deer in the headlights? No picks? That's deer in the headlights. Once again, man, 49ers since 2017 are 0-29, went down +5 in the 4th. Interesting stat. Interesting trend. Okay. My number 3, Big Sales top 10 NFL teams. Are we sleeping on the Ravens? Are we sleeping on the Ravens? Why do I look at the Ravens and see that they are better than what their record is too? And I think they're 5-2. I wrote some Lamar Jackson numbers down. We'll do that in the next hour here, but wow. Are we sleeping on the Ravens? How about if this guy did what he did a year ago and he turns around and puts his team in the Super Bowl? Ravens are definitely flying under the radar. How about this Super Bowl? Lamar Jackson versus Jalen Hurts. Would you pay to see that? Boy, I'd go see that. Hey, there's your dual threat Super Bowl. There's your dual threat Super Bowl. Someone's going to come out. Hey, could you see Ravens and Eagles in the Super Bowl? My number 2 NFL team is the Philadelphia Eagles. And number 1, obviously, the Kansas City Chiefs. And the only reason that the Eagles are not number 1 is because they've beaten you 2 games in a row. One just a few months ago. And they got Andy Reid. It's the only reason that they're not number 1. So here, Chiefs 1, Eagles 2, Ravens 3, Jaguars 4, 49ers 5, Cowboys 6, Dolphins 7, Lions 8, Browns 9, Seahawks 10. That'd be the grittiest Super Bowl ever. I'll tell you what, man. It'd be like watching two Vince Youngs out there in a college game, would it not? Okay? We're talking about based off this year. Well, Rock, eventually you can't get credit for doing something you've never done. You've not beaten that guy yet. And he's the reigning Super Bowl champion. A guy like that wants to take the title from a guy who's the reigning champion. Until you beat the champion, you're not the champion. But you want to be named champion because you have an impression that you're better than the Chiefs. Do I think you have a better roster than the Chiefs? More talent on it? I do. That don't make you better. You had one last year. You had a better roster than them last year. You still lost. Why would I apply that any differently? Why would I apply that any differently? Whoa, hey, that's what I say. Whatever. That's totally what I say. Whatever. Till you beat him. Till you beat the champ. Till you beat Ali. Go around parading all you want. Who you think you are? 23-2. See, the Chiefs are the champ. You're 23-2. Like you say. Right? What's that number again? 23-2? Chiefs are the champ. All right. I'm going to do my top 10 NFL quarterbacks. 23-2, Chiefs are champs. That's why you're second. The segment with my friend Tone will be at the bottom of the hour. Also, Doc Walker, part of the broadcast team for the Washington Commanders, Super Bowl champion himself when he was with the Washington Redskins. Also, we appreciate everyone that has come aboard with us with our great friends at Hooters. All 7 locations in the Northeast area, from Rhode Island all the way down to King of Prussia. I can't tell you how we appreciate everyone going into all the facilities, especially on the 40th anniversary of Hooters. The iconic Hooter girls are in there, and absolutely just one of the greatest sights to see is how everyone has a great time when they go into any one of these facilities. NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com. If you don't want to go in, you want to just pick the food up and take it back to your crib, HootersToGo.com. That's HootersToGo.com. You got to try some of the 40-year traditions. Tuesday, buy 10 wings, get 10 boneless. Wing Wednesdays, one of the 40-year traditions that Hooters has had since they started the place in 1983. By the way, that's the price all you can eat. Saturdays, kids eat for free. $6, 6 items, all the happy hour specials. NortheastHooters.com. That's NortheastHooters.com. And when you go into any one of the places, do me a favor. Tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.